go.
It's rather appropriate, Nigel, seeing you sitting there, that you're flanked by two rather representative Shakespearean icons. Henry V saying, "Tennis balls, my liege," or some such, and on your left-hand side, a kingdom for a horse. Yeah, and the fact that you really started your well, actually, while you were at university, really steeped in theatre activity, is symbolised by that. I mean, how did it come about? Because none of your antecedents had been in the theatre.
No. My dad used to get taken to the Old Vic because my grandpa and grandma were great friends with Lillian Bayliss, who founded the Old Vic and who discovered Olivia, and my dad used to go along, but he hated it, and he particularly hated As You Like It. It bored him stiff. So he although he was quite a show off, he wasn't. Yes, he did act when he was in the army. He was in sort of amateur productions. But I did it. I was at an army school for about 6 years in Hamm, Germany, and I played all the big roles at schools: Shylock, Hamlet, Macbeth, Admiral Crichton. Oh, you name it, I played it. So by the time I got to Oxford, I was a bit jaded, really, and but I still went and did quite a lot of theatre. And so I did play him as a young chap, Prince Hal, in Henry IV Part 1 and 2.
Yeah. And really, you were surrounded by other talented young thespians.
I would be.
It was rather fortuitous.
Yes, I'd be there on stage as the king in my coronation robes. Surrounding me would be a whole lot of crowd, each one of whom became a famous actor, and little Nigel achieved absolutely nothing. You see, there would be Oliver Ford Davis, he's known now. Michael York was a little sort of blob in the crowd up in the corner, who played Prince John, my brother. Mike Emrys Jones, now called Michael Elwyn. Giles Block, who runs the Globe and directed Hamlet there just recently with Mark Rylance.
Ian McCulloch, of course.
Ian McCulloch, who was Hotspur.
Sheridan Morley.
Yes, Sheridan Morley, exactly, thank you. And he and I had, being Hotspur and Prince Howard, you see, I had the armour on for that. You're always coming out in court dress, which would be very beautiful. I mean, Henry V's time, I think, was the most beautiful looking for men you could imagine. Tights and then these gorgeous sort of tubular type tunics, and but then you'd have to change into armour and get fighting. And the rest of the cast used to go, "Ooh, look at your tights," and my tights, they had a sort of watermark going down this leg like this. He said, "Ooh," and the thing was, they were all straight from the Royal Shakespeare Company, you see, and
the tights.
The tights were, and the costume was all Richard Burton's costume for when he was in Henry IV Part 1 and 2. And I would say, "Oh, rubbish! It's the dyeing. We're reproducing the sort of medieval dye techniques. You get that watermark, And then you have the fight with Hotspur at the end, you see. And then I was watching Richard Burton talking about the parts he'd played, you see, and he said, "Oh, yes, and I played Prince Hal, and Michael Redgrave was Hotspur, and we had a fight at the end." He said, "It was rather terrible. I used to drink a lot in those days, and I drank so much, and I got all this armour on. I thought, well, there's nothing I can do. I just sort of let go and peed freely, and he then fights Michael Redgrave, and afterwards he says, "Michael, I'm sorry about that, you know, and I actually peed myself." And Redgrave said, "I thought you were sweating rather a lot."
Wonderful.
Oh dear, oh dear.
A wonderful story. But you are, as I say, a key member of a fairly remarkable group, and you
Yes.
provided some of the theatrical material, taking them on tour and so forth.
Yes, we used to go on tour. Richard II was the first part I played on tour. Oh God, I just, you know, when you're young you don't think anything of it, but I just feel so ashamed at how much I used to drink in France representing Oxford, and then go on stage and play Richard II. And Ian McCulloch was Mowbray on the first scene, you know.
Yes.
And I was so drunk, but I managed to get through the whole thing. But I said, "What are you looking at me like that for in the court scene?" He said, "Well, you just said the same speech over again that you just said 5 minutes earlier." And I thought, we're going to go round in circles here forever.
Fortunately, nobody in the audience understood a word.
They were
But you clearly didn't write Richard II.
no.
But you were nevertheless writing plays at that time,
I was, yes.
which of course...
Lynn Barber, you see, she played, do you know her, the famous interviewer, journalist lady?
no,
There was a whole film made about her childhood.
no, I didn't see it.
Yeah. She was in my famous play, Donald Does His Bit, which was in blank verse.
Of course.
And
Wouldn't
set
expect
up in
anything
the
else.
border country, yes.
But you went on to produce other rather arcane plays, notably Commedia.
Commedia, yes. Well, this is years and years later.
Yes.
I had improved my technique by then. And as you remember, we did Commedia. I can't remember what really turned me onto it, but I just thought it would be really good if there was a script for a Commedia show, you know, because there's a lot of technique and tradition in Commedia style acting, but they used to act without scripts, so that no one really can put on a genuine Commedia play. But what they used to do, and this is about 1560 to 1660-ish, they would have backstage a synopsis of the plot they were going to put on, and they were all so brilliant at acting their own particular styles of characters from the noble lovers, and they would be able to recite this beautiful verse which they'd make up in the style of Petrarch. And then the really grotesque characters like
Yes, you got the masks.
little Alecchino, you see, or the kind of chicken man character, Pulcinella. These were the grotesque ones, and the other ones were the noble ones. But we can't put one on. So what I thought would be a good idea to do would be to look at these scripts, pick one or pick a couple that you could splice together, and then make a whole play of it and write it in blank verse in 5 acts. So this would be like a kind of Shakespeare play, Shakespeare comedy.
And this you put on at the Oxford Playhouse.
And this we put on in the Oxford Playhouse, yes, Bob.
But
I played little Arlecchino, who wasn't a very big part because I painted the scenery as well, so it kept me quite busy. But you had the much better part of Capitano.
Yes, but let's be clear about it. You wrote the play.
Yeah.
You designed the set, which everybody said was breathtaking, and you painted it.
I painted
and
it.
you directed the show.
Yes.
And you acted in it.
Yes.
I mean, that was pretty demanding, I would say.
I was a bit tired at the end of it, yes.
But it was very well received.
If you remember, we really had a rave review in the Independent, didn't we?
Yes.
That was astonishing.
And then, of course, the playhouse closed.
And then the playhouse closed. It was the finale.
Yes, yes,
Ah,
quite. Just bearing in mind, going back, as we've agreed, you could have gone on and had a very successful career on stage. But I remember when I asked you why you didn't take advantage of the sort of offers that were coming your way, that you said you couldn't stand the hours.
yes, I couldn't stand the hours.
You like to be at home in the evenings.
Yes, that is true. I do like to be home in the evening, but you see, I mean, I've said before, when I went up to Oxford, I'd already played all these Shakespeare leads, and I was starting to get a bit jaded. So, doing a lot of rehearsing in Oxford, and then I went and did it professionally. And it was boiling hot in Chicago in this Ravinia Park festival theatre, and putting all this costume on and then the armour, and the thing was, I think I couldn't take the theatre really because I wasn't totally interested in it and nothing else. And I think if you're a theatre person, you have to be. But
well, if I may say, the theatre's loss was literature's gain, because it enabled you to write a whole raft of books, which perhaps we can talk about on another occasion.
That would be delightful, Bob.
Thanks, Nigel. Very interesting.
Very kind of you to indulge me, as I said before.